Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's August 16th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And while the volume was still a little low, there were quite a few more trades today. A little bit better trading day overall. There were several pretty good trades early on, but most of the day we just spent in a trading range still. You can see that. And there wasn't a lot of movement as far as highs to lows, but there was enough movement and space in between today to trade and make money basically. So um, anyway, I'm gonna back out, talk about the trades, and thank goodness we had a little better day today. So, and I did get several emails from people commenting that they thought it was an easier day as well. So, first trade I saw was right after the 7 o'clock hour, and this looks like a trading range here. This was the overnight lows, and really the overnight highs were up here, and we're kind of bouncing around in between. But notice that there's a trend line working down. We had a break here, and we had an attempt to move to a new low. I wasn't crazy. Uh, Actually, this was too early. Well, notice the new high here. You pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and it fails. It doesn't go lower instantly, but it tries to go higher again and fails, and it turns up and goes right out the other side. Um, I'm okay with just putting a stop there. You got just enough room to get out, but at this point you're looking for a measured move too here. So that's giving you a low. You can see to right there exactly where we went. So that's basically a perfect measured move. But you still got to be leery of this double bottom. You got to make sure you got enough room to get out before there. You might have let it break lower here and drop a limit order to see if you'd get filled, but this failed pretty quickly. So I don't know if you would have. Of course, it bounces off the lows and it starts working up. And notice you got a little trend line working higher. This is also somewhat of congestion. There is a big bearish bar right off the trend line there, but that's the first close outside that trend line, and that's still in that congestion. So you got to be real careful of that. Somebody asked me about this trade and why it failed, but really your lows at this point are right here almost. Uh, Definitely you got to be able to get out before there, but you got to be worried about even right there because that's where the closes are and where the last couple of bounces are. Um, but what ends up happening here is you get a failed break out the top and a fairly bearish bar, at least on my chart. Um, you might let this break lower and use a limit order, but there's enough room. If you enter right here, you can get out. And with that being a trap, with that failed break higher and right off the trend line, and that pretty much confirms the trend line. That's your first two touches, and so that confirms it as well. So I like that one, and you can see that one takes off pretty good. Then it pulls back and gives you a breakout pullback short. Generally, this would probably be red, but that's so close to the low, and that's the low of the day now. And so it's a little bit risky. Um, as you know, they'll bounce on you, just like right here, it bounced on you, and so you got to be leery of that. So for that reason, I had to make that one green. You hate to miss a trade like that, but so many times it'll run down here and make a double bottom or maybe tick or two lower and then turn and reverse on you. So here's a good example of it trying to go lower here and it doesn't, and it reverses on you. And so you can't risk that. So for that reason, I made that one green. And this one drops pretty quickly. You can see it did kind of waver around there a little bit, but it continues on down. If it would have broke higher again, it would have been tempting because it would have been a failed second entry long. But again, you'd had to go short at the low of the day. But with that trap, I would have felt a little bit, with that failed second entry long, I would have felt a little bit better about it. Notice the new high pulls back first entry. And so if it had pulled back there, you'd have had a failed second entry long. It still would have to be green, but it would be, I'd like it better than I like entering right there. So, and then of course it bounces here, but again, this looks very similar to right here. So you can't take that trade. You don't have a very good setup there either. If you draw your trend line, you can see you don't get your break until here. And it tries to go lower a couple times. You can't go short right there, and you really don't have room here to get out hardly. If you count this low, you got enough, maybe just enough, but you got to be leery with it closing across there so many times. So, uh, and then again, this is a failed second entry short. And look how many times it bounced there. Look how bullish that bar is. I like going long there just for uh, a chance to try to run up for a quick scalp. But if you caught that one, you might have ridden this all the way up, depending on where your entry was and how your setup was. But notice what happens here. You get another pullback right at the trend line. You could count this as a double bottom, being a new low. You could actually count this as a new low too. But if this double bottom's a new low, is the first entry short, the second entry short, it fails, and look at it go. They trap people right there. Look at it go. And again, your first goal would be here, then your next one here, and if you got through there, it's here, and it really gets almost all the way up there. But this, you could consider this a failed break higher because it went higher than these last highs here. And look how far away from the EMA that is. Only problem is we don't have a close outside this trend line, so it's a little risky. But watch what happens. You pull down first entry, pull back second entry, and that's a second entry long, and that's the first break. But you got to go long right into all that resistance. That's why I got that line across there. And that traps a whole lot of people. It's a failed second entry long. You still got a little bit of room to the EMA. Just go short right there. And you might let it break lower and even use a limit order just to make sure you got enough room to get out before here, but it doesn't matter. That one takes off. Pulls back again. Doesn't give a very good setup there. It looks very similar to these others. And notice it would have worked, but you would have really had to fight it out. And then you get a bounce, and you get the close outside again. This looks like a repeat pattern of these others. So you can't really take it, although it would have worked. But look what happens. It looks like this one, and pull back first entry, pull back second entry. The only reason this one's not red is it's right into all that support across there. The lows had moved up, and there's just so much support, and you're going short right into them. So it is a trap. So there's a chance it may work, but I don't think you want to risk it. So I made it green, but I really don't. The only way I might take that trade is if it breaks lower and I can get a limit order all the way back up here, just so you got room to get out before these two lows. But really, you can see most of your bounces are right across there. So I just think you're better off to wait. And look what happens. If you just wait and play the rules, you get a failed break lower, a nice bullish bar, go long right there. Notice you got your break and two legs down to a new low as well. It's a failed break lower. Go long right there. And that's an easy scalp and easy runner all the way back to the top. And just exit right there, or at least be prepared to exit. And when it turned down right there, I probably would have exited. And then same thing here. There's a second entry short here, and it's off this high. For some reason, I failed to mark that one. That's a great setup. It's a little bit questionable as to whether or not you might have had a close outside, but the fact that this is a range and you're that far away from the EMA and you get that little small bar, only a couple of ticks in it, very low risk, just go short right there. And that's another easy move all the way back down. So if you didn't do anything but wait on these couple of trades at the highs and lows, you would have done well. And then it moves down. You get a first entry long, pull back second entry long. There is a trend line working down through here. You could have looked at this a couple different ways. It doesn't really matter. It might have been a little flatter like that. But really you catch most of your closes right through there. So depending on how you looked at that, it might have scared you out of this trade. But again, that's strong support, and it's a second entry long. And look at that bullish bar. I like going long there just for a scalp. I took this trade. I liked it, and normally you would want to see a close outside this trend line, but the fact that this is, you've got some really clear boundaries established here now, and with a nice failed break lower, I like that. But I'm surprised it didn't go all the way up. But notice what happens. It gives you another chance. You get a break of this trend line no matter how you drew it, and you tried to go lower twice, so you get a double test, Another fairly bullish bar, a second entry because that's a new high. Lots of reasons to like that one, bouncing off the low once again, and it's another easy scalp with runners. Once you started going sideways here, I'd have probably exited. But look what you got going on here. You make a double top, but notice that you get this trend line working up, a close outside, move to a new high, and it turns down. This is not really a bearish enough bar. This one is. You may not have been able to get an entry in that one. If you could get your stop in there, you might have been able to get a limit order and it might have pulled back and filled you. And then again, it takes off again. And if it would have bounced here, I would have exited, but it just shoots right on through. And then you just start kind of going sideways. This is back down to the original lows here. I think it's maybe a tick higher. I didn't pull this line all the way across. You can see it's just about a tick lower. No, it's not. It's exactly the same. So it doesn't matter. I drew the line there anyway, so you're still the same line either way. But it bounces here 3 times. There's a double test rule here. Notice it touched here and it double tested a previous support. It's not a very good bar. There's a double top right there, so this could be considered a second entry. So you could make an argument for that to be green, close to being blue. It would have worked too, but you're just going sideways, and that's congestion, and I think I would have skipped it. Actually, I like the failed break higher that comes back, and notice what it did. What you had to understand what prices were trying to do is remember what happens when you break through strong support. It will come back and test it, and it took a while to get back up there, and it tested. Look at that big bearish bar. I like going short there, and boom, off to the races. And I would have been expecting maybe a measured move from here. We don't end up getting that, but I would have measured that leg and pulled it over here just in case it took off lower, but it doesn't. And then it bounces. And notice what we get here. This is a reversal pattern. You push lower, pull back first entry short, we push on through the EMA, pull back second entry short, and look what it's doing. It's testing that original support again, and it turns up, nice bullish bar. I like going long right there. Another quick scalp, and that gets you into the close of the day. And you did end up getting another push down with a measured move. So if you were able to, you really couldn't have got in this really because it didn't set up until after the 2 o'clock. So, but notice that move. I probably really most of your entries there. So another basically measured leg down, and so it ended up holding true on the correction and then going down. So yeah, it turned out some really nice trades today. And you had to understand the range rules. Just remember what I always say. If you just took all the trades off the highs and all the trades off the lows, including the failed break lowers, you couldn't hardly go wrong. No matter which one of these you took, even down here, they would have been winners. The only one that wouldn't have would have been that one right there, and you don't really get a good setup. Even though these aren't good setups, they still would have got you a scalp out of them. And anything you sold up here would have got you at least a scalp, maybe a whole lot more. So just remember, the only way to play these is to buy the lows and sell the highs and watch for some traps. The ones that get a little more questionable are the ones in the middle because they whipsaw you. And you're better off to wait on the lows and the highs. So that's what I saw today. A little better trading day. Hopefully things will continue to pick up as we move on into the latter part of August and into September. This is generally when the market does start to move, so let's hope it does soon. And but I can live with a day like today. Lots of trades today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 trades. That's pretty good for no more movement than we got as far as the highs and lows. We spent most of the trading day between 2182 and just call it 2177. So 5 points. There's not really any movement there, but there's enough movement in between there to make some really nice trades. So that's all we need. And I mean, I'll take these kind of days every day. I'd much rather get a strong trend with some easy entries, but I'll take these kind of days every day, especially compared to what we had yesterday. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.